If you're over 60, your body processes food differently than it used to. What once gave you strength could now quietly be working against you, and that includes something as innocent as fish. Yes, fish. You've heard it all your life. Fish is good for the heart, fish is full of healthy fats, fish keeps the brain young. And it's true sometimes, but only if you're eating the right kinds. Because new research shows that some popular fish, especially the ones many seniors eat the most, can increase inflammation, disrupt blood pressure, and even raise the risk of memory decline. A 2023 study from the Journal of Gerontology revealed that seniors who regularly consumed high-mercury fish or deep-fried seafood showed 30% higher markers of oxidative stress, one of the top drivers of aging-related disease. The same study found that switching to low-toxin omega-3 rich fish cut those markers in half within 60 days. But here's the catch. Most of the fish that are affordable, tasty, and widely available fall into the danger zone. We're talking about fish you might already have in your freezer right now. The good news? Not all fish are equal. In fact, there are 4 types of fish that can actually protect your brain, improve joint function, lower inflammation, and even reduce your risk of stroke. These are the fish that helped me regain clarity, strength, and energy in my late 70s, when I thought all that was long gone. I'll also tell you the 4 fish I'll never eat again. Some are worse than you think. One of them? I used to eat it every week. So if you're wondering which fish could be silently hurting your health, and which ones could be healing it, this story is for you. Let's dive in. My name's Walter. I'm 88 this year, and for most of my life I thought I was doing the right things. I didn't smoke, I walked every day, and I ate what I thought was healthy. That included fish, lots of it. Tuna sandwiches for lunch, fried catfish on Sundays, the occasional grilled salmon if it was on sale. I wasn't trying to be perfect, I was just trying to eat smart. At least that's what I believed. But around 72, things began to change. I started waking up stiff in the hands. My knees would click just getting out of a chair. I felt swollen, puffy, like I was walking around in someone else's body. My doctor said it was just age, maybe some mild arthritis. But I knew something else was off. I wasn't sleeping well, my blood pressure was rising, my cholesterol numbers were okay, but my energy was gone by 11 a.m. I used to build cabinets for a living. Now I could barely lift a grocery bag without my joints flaring up. One afternoon, after a dizzy spell in the garden, I went in for a full checkup. My doctor ordered a carotid scan, said he wanted to rule some things out. When the results came in, he looked serious. "You've got some early plaque build-up," he said. "Not dangerous yet, but we need to make changes now." Changes? I didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't eat junk, so I asked, "What should I change?" He looked at my food log, then he said something that stuck with me. "Too much of the wrong fish." I blinked. "What do you mean? Fish is healthy." "Not when it's high in mercury, not when it's fried in seed oils, not when it's loaded with salt or coming out of a factory pond." That night I went home and opened my freezer. Tuna, breaded tilapia, a tray of catfish fingers. That's when it hit me. I wasn't eating for health. I was eating by habit. And that habit was aging me faster than time. I didn't overhaul everything overnight, but I started reading. I looked up every fish I ate. I asked questions. I talked to a nutritionist. I started listening to my body. And slowly, I began to rebuild my plate. From the ocean up. Now, at 88, I feel lighter in my joints. I sleep through the night, my blood pressure's down, and my doctor says my arteries are cleaner than some men in their 50s. What changed? The fish. Not just eating fish, but eating the right ones. The ones that heal instead of harm. I'm going to share the 4 kinds I eat now, and the 4 I won't touch again. Because if you're over 60, what you eat isn't just fuel anymore. It's medicine, or it's poison. Let's start with the fish that saved my joints, sharpened my mind, and helped me feel like myself again. The first fish I added to my plate was wild-caught salmon. Now, I'd eaten salmon before, but usually the cheap kind. The kind that comes frozen in a vacuum-sealed pack, bright orange, farm-raised, on sale, 3 for $10. I didn't know there was a difference. Fish was fish, right? Wrong. Turns out the salmon I was eating was raised in crowded pens, fed soy pellets and food dyes, and soaked in saltwater solutions to make it taste fresh. What I thought was helping me was flooding my body with inflammation. But wild-caught salmon, that's a different story. The first time I tried it, real, clean, wild salmon, I could taste the difference. The texture was softer. The flavour wasn't fishy, just rich. I grilled it lightly with olive oil and lemon, took one bite and said to myself, "So this is what it's supposed to be." But the real difference came later. That night I slept deeper than I had in weeks. My knees didn't ache the next morning. I wasn't bloated after dinner. It felt like my body said thank you. So I kept eating it. Not every day, just twice a week. That's all it took. You see, wild-caught salmon is one of the best sources of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. These are the building blocks of anti-inflammation in your body. They protect your arteries. They lubricate your joints. They feed your brain. A 2022 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors who ate fatty fish like wild salmon at least twice per week had a 42% lower risk of stroke and a 37% lower risk of memory decline compared to those who didn't. That's not theory, that's measurable. And it's not just the omega-3s. Wild salmon is also rich in astaxanthin, a powerful antioxidant that fights cellular aging. It supports skin, eyes and brain function. It's one of the reasons people who eat salmon regularly tend to have better cardiovascular health. But here's the key. It has to be wild-caught. Farmed salmon has up to 5 times less omega-3 and can contain toxic residues like PCBs and dioxins, things that build up in your system over time, especially after 60, when your detox pathways start to slow down. Wild salmon, on the other hand, swims freely, eats a natural diet and contains the healthy fats your body craves. You'll find it labelled as wild Alaskan or sockeye. It's darker in colour, more firm and doesn't have that oily, processed taste. It might cost a little more, but it costs less than pills, pain or doctor visits. And the best part? It's easy to prepare. I pan-sear mine with garlic and dill or bake it with lemon slices and rosemary. Sometimes I toss leftovers into a salad the next day. It never feels heavy. Never sits in my gut like the fried stuff used to. A good meal should leave you feeling better, not worse. And salmon does just that. After about 2 months of making it part of my routine, I noticed something else. My thinking felt clearer. I wasn't misplacing my keys as often. I wasn't fumbling for words. And my blood pressure, it dropped 10 points. I asked my doctor if that was normal. He smiled and said, "It's not common, but it's exactly what we want to see." So if you're over 60 and looking for one simple change, start with this. Trade the fish sticks and canned tuna for wild salmon. It's not about giving up taste. It's about giving your body what it needs to thrive. And if you're wondering where to start, look for frozen wild-caught sockeye fillets. Most grocery stores carry them, or better yet, check your local fish market. Grill it, bake it, flake it over greens. It's not complicated. But it is powerful. Wild-caught salmon isn't just a healthy fish, it's the foundation of a healthy body. The second fish I brought into my kitchen was one I hadn't touched since I was a kid. Sardines. I remember my dad eating them out of a can with saltines, sitting at the counter reading the newspaper. I used to wrinkle my nose at the smell and run out of the room. Funny how life circles back, because now sardines are one of my secret weapons for staying strong at 88. I didn't return to sardines out of nostalgia. I came back to them out of necessity. See, after learning how much mercury builds up in larger fish, I started researching alternatives. I wanted something small, clean, and packed with nutrients. Sardines came up again and again, so I gave them a shot. I picked up a can, wild-caught, packed in olive oil, and opened it with hesitation. The smell brought back memories, but this time I didn't run. I forked out 2, laid them on a piece of rye toast with avocado and took a bite. And you know what? It was delicious, earthy, savoury, satisfying, but more importantly, my body liked it. Sardines are incredibly dense in nutrition. In just a few bites, you get high-quality protein, vitamin D, calcium, selenium, and omega-3 fatty acids, all in a form your body can absorb easily. That's rare. And because they're small fish at the bottom of the food chain, sardines don't accumulate toxins like mercury the way tuna or swordfish do. That makes them especially safe for seniors whose detox systems aren't what they used to be. A 2021 study published in Frontiers in Nutrition showed that older adults who ate oily fish like sardines 3 times a week had better bone density, fewer inflammatory markers, and improved balance, leading to fewer falls. Fewer falls means more independence. That matters. But here's the surprise. Sardines are loaded with calcium. Yes, calcium from the soft, edible bones. That's a game changer, especially for people like me who can't tolerate too much dairy. Just one serving of sardines has more calcium than a glass of milk, without the bloating or blood sugar spike. Sardines also contain CoQ10, a compound that supports cellular energy and heart function. Most people pay for that in supplement form. Sardines give it to you naturally. And did I mention vitamin D? As we age, our skin makes less of it, but sardines? They're one of the richest dietary sources you can get. That means better mood, stronger immunity, and better sleep, all from a tiny tin. Now, not all sardines are created equal. I stick with ones packed in olive oil, not soybean or canola, and I look for wild caught from Portugal or the Mediterranean. They taste cleaner, have better texture, and are less processed. I eat them twice a week, usually for lunch. Sometimes on toast, sometimes mixed into a salad with tomatoes and olives. When I need something quick, I eat them straight out of the can with a boiled egg and a few crackers. It's simple, filling and powerful, and they travel well. I even keep a can in my car emergency kit. I get it. Sardines aren't everyone's favourite at first. But if you can get past the idea and focus on the benefits, they're one of the best things you can do for your body after 60. They're easy on the wallet, gentle on digestion, and powerful for your heart, bones and brain. Sometimes the best things aren't fancy or modern. Sometimes they're the foods your grandparents swore by, and for good reason. So if you haven't had sardines in years, maybe it's time to bring them back. Your body might thank you. Mine sure did. The third fish I came to rely on surprised me. It wasn't flashy. It didn't have the reputation of salmon or the nostalgia of sardines, but it became a quiet hero in my kitchen. Rainbow trout. You don't hear it talked about much. It's not trendy, but it's one of the cleanest, most digestible sources of protein you can eat, especially after 60. My story with trout started by accident. One weekend, my grandson invited me to a small lake near where he lives. He handed me a fishing rod, smiled and said, "Let's see what you've still got, Grandpa." I hadn't fished in decades, but somehow I caught a trout within the hour. We took it home, cleaned it and cooked it together. Just a little lemon, garlic and herbs in foil on the grill, nothing fancy. I took one bite and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, lightness. Not just in my body, but in my mind. No heaviness, no indigestion, just clean, simple nourishment. That night I looked it up. Turns out rainbow trout is one of the most low-toxin fish available. It's usually farmed in freshwater systems that are tightly regulated, not the crowded, chemical-filled pens used for some other species, and when it's raised right, it's rich in protein, omega-3s, potassium and vitamin B12. But what makes trout special is how gentle it is on aging digestion. Many seniors, myself included, start to experience slower gastric emptying. Heavy meals sit in the gut, cause bloating and lead to that afternoon crash. But trout digests easily. It's lean, moist, and doesn't sit like a brick in your stomach. One fillet has about 20 grams of complete protein, enough to support muscle maintenance without overwhelming your system. It also has a healthy dose of selenium, which supports thyroid health and reduces oxidative stress. That's huge for people fighting inflammation. And here's a fact that sold me. A study from the International Journal of Food Sciences and Nutrition showed that older adults who regularly ate freshwater fish like trout had lower inflammatory markers and improved HDL, good cholesterol levels. They also showed better cognitive test scores over time. That means more clarity, less stiffness, better numbers at your next doctor visit. It's not just what trout has, it's what it doesn't. It's low in mercury, low in saturated fat, and naturally free of additives. And the flavour, milder than salmon, no strong fishy aftertaste. That makes it a great option for people who don't typically like seafood. I eat trout once a week, usually for dinner. I bake it in foil with olive oil, thyme and lemon, or I pan-sear it with a sprinkle of paprika and fresh dill. Sometimes I toss leftovers into scrambled eggs the next morning. It's versatile and quick. One of my favourite things about trout is that it feels like comfort food, but without the regret. No sluggishness, no blood sugar crash, just clean energy. And there's something else. When I sit down to a plate of trout, I remember that day with my grandson. I remember laughing, casting lines, telling old stories. It connects me to something deeper, something that reminds me I'm still living, still learning, still making memories. and maybe that's part of the healing too. Rainbow trout may not be the star of food shows or nutrition blogs, but for me it's become a steady part of a life that feels stronger every year. If you haven't tried it in a while, give it a second chance. Sometimes the best foods are the ones you catch, cook and share with people who matter. And sometimes healing doesn't come in a pill. It comes in a pan with a little lemon and love. The fourth fish that earned a place on my plate might not be flashy, but it's dependable. It's clean. It's easy to prepare. And for someone in their 70s, 80s or beyond, it just works. I'm talking about cod. If salmon is the headline and sardines are the underdog, cod is the quiet workhorse. It's the kind of fish that doesn't need attention, it just delivers. I first started eating cod because I wanted something light for dinner. Some nights even salmon felt a little too heavy, so I picked up a fillet of wild-caught Atlantic cod from the store. White, firm, no smell. I baked it with olive oil and parsley. It flaked easily, almost melted in my mouth. And here's what I noticed the next morning. I didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel stiff. My stomach felt calm, my joints felt looser, and I had more energy than usual. That's when I knew cod wasn't just easy. It was effective. Cod is a lean white fish, low in fat but packed with high-quality protein. One fillet gives you about 25 grams of protein with barely any saturated fat. That makes it ideal for older adults who want to preserve muscle mass without straining the heart or digestive system, and digestion matters. After 60, your stomach acid naturally declines. That means heavier proteins sit longer and can cause bloating or reflux. But cod is gentle. It digests quickly, leaves no heaviness behind, and supports a steady flow of energy. And it's not just protein. Cod is rich in vitamin B12, iodine and phosphorus, all essential for nerve function, thyroid health and bone strength. It also contains choline, which plays a crucial role in memory and liver health, two areas many seniors struggle with silently. I like to think of cod as the blank canvas of healthy meals. It takes on the flavour of whatever you cook it with. Lemon, garlic, paprika, herbs. It's versatile, forgiving and quick. You can grill it, bake it, broil it. I've even made cod soup with ginger and mushrooms when I had a cold. A study in the Journal of Nutrition and Aging found that regular consumption of lean white fish like cod was associated with reduced waist circumference and improved insulin sensitivity in older adults. That means better blood sugar balance and less abdominal fat, a key factor in reducing cardiovascular risk. Another advantage, it's naturally low in mercury. That makes it a safer option for long-term, weekly consumption. But like anything, quality matters. I avoid frozen cod that comes pre-battered or packed in sauces. Those versions are loaded with sodium and preservatives that cancel out the benefits. I look for wild-caught cod, ideally from cold northern waters like Iceland or the North Atlantic. The texture is firmer, the flavour is cleaner, and it cooks beautifully. One of my favourite meals now is simple. Baked cod with olive oil, lemon juice, and a dash of black pepper served with steamed spinach and sweet potato. It's light, balanced, and keeps me full without making me tired. And here's the unexpected bonus. My sleep improved. Cod contains a small amount of tryptophan, the amino acid that helps produce serotonin and melatonin. That means eating it in the evening may help support a more restful night. I didn't expect that, but I'll take it. Sometimes I get asked, "Don't you get tired of eating fish all the time?" And my answer is always, "Not when it makes me feel this good." Cod isn't dramatic. It's not a trend. But it's become a staple in my week because it's consistent. And at my age, consistency is a gift. So if you're looking for a fish that supports muscle, heart, metabolism and brain without causing bloating or spiking your blood pressure, give cod a try. It might just become your favourite too. Now that we've covered the 4 best fish to add to your plate, it's time to talk about the ones you should take off. Because here's the truth. Not all fish are created equal, and some of the most popular, affordable or convenient options are quietly doing more harm than good, especially after age 60, when our bodies process toxins and fats differently. Let's go through them, one by one. 1. Canned tuna. It's been a lunchbox favourite for decades, but behind the convenience there's a hidden danger. Mercury. Tuna is a large predator fish. It sits high on the food chain, which means it absorbs mercury from all the smaller fish it eats. Over time, that mercury builds up in its flesh, and when we eat it, especially regularly, it builds up in ours too. The problem? After 60, our liver and kidneys slow down. That makes it harder to clear heavy metals from the body. Even low-level exposure over time can lead to memory issues, fatigue, and increased risk of cardiovascular problems. A 2021 study published in Environmental Research found that seniors who consumed tuna more than once a week had significantly higher levels of methylmercury in their blood, linked to cognitive decline and high blood pressure. If you love tuna, switch to light skipjack tuna, which has lower mercury, and limit it to once a week, max. 2. Farm tilapia or bassa tilapia and bassa are two of the most widely consumed fish in the world because they're cheap and easy to cook. But cheap comes at a cost. Most of these fish are raised in crowded ponds with poor water quality, fed with grain-based pellets, and treated with antibiotics to control disease. The result? Fish that are low in omega-3, high in omega-6, which promotes inflammation, and sometimes contaminated with harmful bacteria or drug residues. One study from the Journal of Food Safety found that up to 30% of imported farm tilapia tested positive for antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And nutritionally, tilapia has more omega-6 than a fast food burger. That's the opposite of what your aging joints, brain and arteries need. If you like white fish, stick to wild-caught cod or trout. They're cleaner, safer and more nourishing. 3. Deep-fried fish. This one stings, I know. Fried catfish, fish sticks, fish and chips, they're comfort foods, and many of us grew up with them. But as we age, they turn from comfort into danger. Here's why. When you deep fry fish, especially in vegetable or seed oils, it oxidizes the fats. That creates inflammatory compounds that damage blood vessels, spike blood sugar, and strain the liver. A 2020 study in Circulation found that people over 65 who regularly ate fried seafood had a 27% higher risk of heart failure. That's not a scare tactic, it's data. Frying also destroys many of the beneficial fats in fish, turning what could be healing into harm. If you miss the crunch, try air-frying wild fish with a light almond flour coating. You'll get the texture without the toxic load. 4. Swordfish. This might not be a regular on your plate, but if it is, take note. Swordfish is one of the highest mercury-containing fish on the planet. Because it lives long and eats other fish, its mercury levels can be up to 10 times higher than light tuna. For younger people with strong detox systems, the body can usually manage small amounts, but for seniors, that mercury gets stored especially in fat tissue and the brain. Mercury exposure has been linked to poor sleep, brain fog, high blood pressure, and even tremors in older adults. The FDA explicitly advises older adults and children to avoid swordfish altogether, so if you see it on the menu at a restaurant, choose something else. Your memory, balance and heart will thank you. Final thought. These 4 fish, canned tuna, farm tilapia, fried seafood and swordfish, aren't inherently evil, but they are mismatched with the needs of the aging body. After 60, food isn't just about taste or tradition, it's about function. You want meals that lower inflammation, protect your heart, fuel your brain and help you stay mobile and independent. Removing these 4 from your regular rotation could reduce your risk of stroke, improve your digestion, sharpen your thinking and support your joints, all without a single prescription. You don't have to fear food. You just have to choose wisely. And now you can. I didn't change my diet in my 30s, or my 40s. I didn't even do it at 60. I started at 72. By then I already had stiff joints, climbing blood pressure, and a fridge full of foods I thought were helping me, when they were doing the opposite. I wasn't lazy, I wasn't careless, I was just unaware. But once I knew better, I did better. One fish at a time. I swapped fried catfish for grilled salmon. I replaced canned tuna with sardines. I stopped buying bassa fillets and started learning how to bake cod. I didn't overhaul my whole life in one day. I just started making different choices, small changes, repeated daily. That's how I got here, 88, still mobile, still independent and more clear-headed than I've been in years. Not because I have great genes, not because I found a magic diet, but because I stopped poisoning myself quietly and started feeding my body the way it needed to be fed. Here's what I've learned. Your body isn't trying to break down, it's trying to speak to you. Every ache, every foggy morning, every sleepless night, it's information. It's your body saying, please pay attention. And when you listen, when you remove what's hurting you and add what heals, you begin to feel alive again. It doesn't take perfection, it takes consistency, it takes care. You're not too late. Maybe you're 60, 70, 82. Maybe you've been eating the same way for decades. Maybe your freezer is full of foods you now regret. That's okay, because healing doesn't begin with guilt. It begins with awareness. And then, just one good decision at a time. The best part, your body remembers. Even after all the wear and tear, it remembers how to repair, how to strengthen, how to protect you. But you have to give it the chance. Start with one fish, one meal, one small shift. Choose wild-caught instead of fried. Choose light instead of heavy. Choose nourishment over nostalgia. And then watch what happens. Your joints move easier. Your sleep deepens. Your blood pressure evens out. You feel lighter, not just in body but in spirit. And that's the goal. Not to live forever, but to live better for as long as we can. You still have time. You still have choices. And every time you sit down to eat, you're shaping the next chapter of your life. So what will you choose?